Tonight, apparently, you've done what no one else has ever been able to do, get an interview with Kiss without the makeup.
Well, not quite, but I think it's the next best thing because nobody has ever done this before. And they were really surprised when I came up with the, well, you'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Big group, though.
Yeah.
Big group.
Especially in this town.
Detroit has been known for decades as the Motor City, putting the nation on wheels. In 1960, a man had a dream, a musical dream. With the help of Janie Bradford, they wrote a song. With the help of a young singer named Barrett Strong, they produced it in their candy store recording studio. And indeed, they made a lot of money. That song led to the now Berry Gordy Jr. empire known as Motown. But the Motown sound and era has come and gone. Detroit now is still ahead of its contemporaries, known as the Mecca for rock stars and concert attractions generally. A new breed of rock and roll returns tonight to Cobo Hall for 3 incredibly sold-out concerts. That new breed of rock and roll is called Kiss. We know the group is comprised of Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, and Paul Stanley. But who are they personally? Why the makeup? And the question everybody wants to know the answer to.
How did you get the name Kiss?
Well, we were looking for a name that would be really accessible, the kind of name that would almost sound familiar to people. And we wanted a name that wouldn't limit us to just the United States. No matter where you go in the world, people are familiar with the word Kiss. And it's got a lot of different connotations. It's the first step in foreplay. It's also like the kiss of death. It's kind of multifaceted. It can be heavy, it can be very sweet.
How far is Kiss going?
Kiss is probably going to go as far as people are going to let us go. It's a really hard question to answer. We're going to do as much as we can do and as much as people are going to let us do. And the only reason we're up there on stage in the first place is that we're trying to entertain people. And without people, we're nobody.
The Japan tour that's coming up. 120,000. You told me these guys were cut-ups. Now I believe it. 120,000 fans will probably be waiting for you, and undoubtedly will see you when you're in Japan. How do you react to that?
Not only myself, but the whole group is really excited about going to Japan. From what I understand, it's going to be like the Beatles coming to America. They expect between 5,000 and 10,000 kids at the airport.
Peter Criss, drummer, and also singer, on one just beautiful song, in my opinion. How do you feel as a composer?
I don't feel I'm a composer. That's a big word. I feel like I'm a writer trying to be a better writer. That sounds nice, writer. Composer's gigantic. I mean, I look like Burt Bacharach. That's composed. I don't put myself in that category.
One step further. Are there other songs like Beth locked away in your head?
I got a million of them.
Well, gentlemen, and I do mean that sincerely, you are unassuming, unpretentious, and very, very nice people. And I hope in one small way I have conveyed to the public the members and the men of Kiss that I have gotten to meet. And if you cut me up one more time, I'm going to walk out the window.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
Regarding Peter's song, Beth, I found out when having dinner with the guys later in the evening, Beth still remains in the imagination. Kiss in the music industry is said to be sharing the popularity the Beatles enjoyed in 1964 on their first U.S. tour. Will they continue to grow and mature the likes we have seen with the Beatles? Time will tell. I know this. 3 sold-out concerts in Detroit, approximately 34,000 fans. Don't come easy. That's Kiss tonight at Cobo. Sharing the bill with them will be Uriah Heep.
The exciting visual supergroup, Kiss.
Hi, I'm Marjorie Mandel for Veronica's Countdown in Knoxville, Tennessee. Probably the most dramatic act currently making the music scene will be here tonight at the Civic Coliseum. The people you see behind me are waiting to see 4 guys from New York. At least I think they're guys. Anyone who has seen Kiss, the group that brought us I Was Made for Loving You and the new hit Sure Knows Something, might think there's something more like fantastic superheroes. After all, it isn't everyone who can fly, breathe fire, and spit something that looks a lot like blood. Let's go and talk to them. Ace, could you explain why you changed from rock to disco?
I don't really think we made any drastic change. I think
the song you're referring to as disco is really rock disco. But the majority of the album, I think, is rock still. You know, I think, you know, different styles of music on the record. We do rock disco, we've done ballads like Beth.
The song I Was Made for Loving You is the first song that made it on the charts in Holland. So do you think that rock disco is appealing to a different audience than the pure rock?
Now, I'm not sure about Holland, but in the United States right now, disco is dying out a little more, and rock and roll is starting to come back a lot stronger. So who knows what will happen within 6 months in Holland.
The whole idea for us was to do a song that fit the category and is still pretty true to what we do. It must have been the right move because it's either one or two around the world.
You know, discotheques are real popular now, and people are getting out there and dancing, and, you know, music with a strong, danceable beat, you know, is really popular now, so...
It's still rock and roll.
But it's still rock and roll, in my opinion, you know. Well, I think disco's really hot, you know.
Gene, I read that you wrote some of the lyrics for the Beatles in the early days. I don't know if that was a joke or not. Is that true?
The truth is that I'm really Paul McCartney. See, I play the bass in Kiss, and so it's really the same thing. No, that's not true. If you believe some of the rumors, Dolly Parton is playing keyboards for us at this very instant. Dolly, would you? Oh, she's not here. She's probably tuning in. No, it's not true.
But you used to write quite mostly ballads. Is that true?
Before the band started, Paul and I were two romantic types. I've since become depraved and perverted.
We were two romantic types singing in Chinatown with an acoustic guitar with an open case.
That's no lie.
Throw in quarters. That was very romantic.
Since you've given us a nice display, maybe you could explain why you perpetuate this image and refuse to appear without the makeup.
This is no image. It's the other Gene that has got the makeup on. This is me.
Seriously, Gene. I mean, you're obviously, the four of you are making a superhero kind of image. What do you think it is that is keeping that up? Why is it that you do it?
The thing that's keeping it up is the same thing that keeps all things up. It's excitement. Exactly what I was pointing to. I think people are sick and tired of having boring rock and roll stars getting up on stage with denims and just strumming their guitars. I think everybody needs heroes in their life. If it's either Superman, Santa Claus, or Kiss. And I think we combine the best of all possible worlds. Theater, rock and roll, we're everything to all people. We're Kiss.
Paul, do you think that there's a problem in the sense that you're giving kids a sense of violence? There have been a lot of complaints about that from adults. How does the group feel about that?
I think anybody that confuses what we're doing with violence is like probably never been to a show of ours, because what we're doing is high energy, and there's a big difference between high energy and violence. I mean, what we're doing isn't destructive, it's just letting off a lot of steam. And I think everybody needs to do that. Some people go to a gym and punch a bag. We go on stage and blow up amplifiers.
Even
We're telling people, here's an hour and a half that you can escape with us. And everybody needs to escape once in a while.
When are you guys planning to come to Holland?
I'd do it tomorrow if I could.
I think we're planning.
Good taste on your part, I must say.
I think there's plans. As you hear this, there are plans in the works to come visit you.
I'd like to toast all my fans in Holland.
Don't toast anything.
And I hope we'll be seeing you real soon. As soon as we can get out there, we'll be there. Right, Petey Boy?
What do I have to say? Something for Holland?
Yeah.
I want to go over and make every lady there.
Can't you think of something a little more gentlemanly?
That is a gentleman.
Okay, make half the ladies.
I'll make half the ladies in Holland.
Okay, boys. Thanks very much.
Four members of the group never perform in public or appear for interviews without the makeup that masks their identity. Some critics say they are more successful at making money than at making music. But over the past 5 years, they have garnered hundreds of thousands of fans, many of them youngsters who dress like the band and who come hand in hand with their parents to buy KISS products and watch the almost nightmarish performance.
We're stars. We only think about getting up on stage and rocking and rolling every night and making sure that everybody knows who we are.
Well, spaced out.
This is a family. A family portrait. Look at this. How'd you like kids that look like that in America?
You might if their gross sales topped 1,500 companies listed on the stock exchanges.
Since this has turned into big business, we can't make arbitrary decisions without talking to people who really have the facts. So we sit down with people with suits and ties who are hired by us to look after us.
In 1978, retail sales involving KISS were approximately $117 million. We just closed a deal last week where we purchased 196 acres in Cincinnati, Ohio, where KISS will build an industrial park. However, in this case, it will not be known as the KISS Industrial Park.
We try and get around $1 a head based on the attendance. If we're going to a hall that seats 12,000 people, we generally try and bring about $12,000 worth of merchandise into the hall. Best-selling items are definitely T-shirts and programs.
$299. Here's $100.
Best buyers are the little kids that bring their parents to the show. If mom and dad come, mom and dad have a pocket full of money, and the little kids get whatever they want.
I want a shirt with some inside KISS. You want a what? It says KISS.
I need more money.
You want a white one?
I thought you were just getting a program.
What?
I want a program, that's all I want.
The programs are $5. You've got two.
KISS could send half of Harlem to Harvard on their T-shirt sales alone. They definitely have the market locked up on belt buckles and posters and that kind of thing. There are a lot of other rock and roll bands who sell more records, but KISS definitely is number one in merchandising. KISS is basically paganism for pubescents. It has very little to do with music. If you listen to it closely, what it is all dissonance and explosions and moaning, which pretty well sums up the adolescent experience in America. I evaluate KISS no higher than they rate themselves, which is mediocre.
I think the only thing that's silly about a reviewer that's going to put down our show, some people say we can't play, but there's no way you can ignore, 20,000 screaming fans.
KISS manager Bill O'Coin, who owns the merchandising operation, put $250,000 into the group 5 years ago, but his initial investment, like their music, has been amplified many times over. KISS's decibel level is higher than that of the controversial Concorde.
KISS can go on for as long as they want to, in my opinion. It's rough for them, maybe rougher than other groups, only because they have to contend with a complete stage show every single night. They have to contend with the makeup every day. They have to contend with a more grueling show.
Maybe we should get it tattooed to our faces so it never comes off. You see 50-year-old guy in a suit and tie.
Yeah, I was sitting there.
Actually, what I do to protect myself is to dress up like Doris Day.
Well, I grew up in a really tough neighborhood, and it was old gangs, and instead of playing stickball, I'd be practicing drums, and a lot of them now, I guess, are in Sing Sing and digging ditches and all. They used to make fun of me. Instead of coming down and playing baseball, I'd be practicing and writing and singing.
Well, I grew up in the Bronx in a middle-class family, and I went through that whole trip of hanging out in the corner candy store, going to the park and drinking beer with the guys and gang fights and all that stuff. Most of my friends from when I was young are either in jail or dead or straightened out. Rock and roll actually saved my life.
I never wanted to be a cab driver. I never wanted to be an accountant. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be beautiful, long hair, eternally young. That's me.
When I'm on stage, I feel invincible. I feel beautiful. I feel needed by masses, and I'm proud of myself. I think when you I think when you perform and you're not turned on by what you're doing, it's time to quit. I'm my best audience because when I do something that I find really pleasing, I'll laugh or I'll pat myself on the back because I think when I'm good, there's nobody better.
We've always contended that we were going to be the biggest thing that ever was on this planet.
That's one great thing about making it. You could take care of your family, which you should, and I could do that now. So that's great about success. Kind of personal, but it's true.
When I graduated college, I had gone into teaching because initially I thought I wanted to convey knowledge, but I really didn't. It was purely ego infatuation. I thought if I got in front of people that I'd have a captive audience, and that's really the wrong reason to be a teacher. So I quickly got out of that. I taught for about 6 months in a public school system in Spanish Harlem, and I soon realized that I didn't want to teach. I simply wanted to be on stage, and I wanted people to look at me and listen to every single utterance that comes out of my precious mouth.
I will admit they do dress kind of strangely, but they're terrific, and we'd like you to look at the fabulous Kiss.
Stanley. I'm Peter Kiss.
Ace Thrill.
And I'm Gene Simmons. We're here to fight a super menace, muscular dystrophy.
It takes a lot of power to fight a problem that's larger than life, so we're calling on you.
When this disease strikes, it's good to know help is there. But the Muscular Dystrophy Association can't give help unless it gets help. Research and medical services cost a lot of money.
It takes a determined army to win a fight this big. Please stand with us. Call and make a pledge right now.
Well, maybe not the wardrobe so much.
This is Kiss, shrouding their real faces from teenage fans as they walk in the back door of radio station KJR. And this is Kiss as their fans know them. Fans that made Kiss a $50 million business last year. Tuesday night, they were on KJR for an hour, rocking and rolling with the punches.
Okay, on to the next call. KJR, you're on with Kiss.
Hi, I'd like to know, when you guys decided to make a group, why did you decide to put makeup on and everything?
Well, we thought that it wasn't fair that for centuries girls were able to put on makeup, so we wanted to put on makeup too.
Yep, and that's why Gene wears a dress.
All right, we'll get back to more calls in just a few minutes. We'll be back with Kiss in a few minutes.
How long until you guys are ready, or are you ready? I'm ready to get my jacket on.
I think we'll be ready in about 2 minutes.
Peter, can you do the poster quickly?
I did.
I am the wardrobe coordinator and supervisor with Kiss. I am 23 years old. My name is Pixie Esmond. The hardest part of the job is being away from home.
The prince gets into his cloak.
Kiss is my new family. They are my 4 brothers and friends. I am mother, big sister, little sister, best friend, girlfriend, and general kind of beat up the girl next door. Someone they trust and who loves them, respects them, and will not take any guff from them and get the best out of them before they leave that room.
This holds my pants up.
They are professionals. I am a professional, and I enjoy the fact that we both enjoy it.
My father always said, make sure you wear cufflinks.
We do a show every other day, and we're on a bus for 8 hours traveling. I go in at 10 o'clock in the morning, get the dressing room set up, do repairs, the washing and glue and paint and all the repairs. My advice to someone who wanted to do my job, whether it be for Kiss or in the theater, is learn how to sew. Be prepared. Be ready to deal with an emergency of any sort and to stay calm at any time. An imagination that will allow you to try anything or do anything. Every everything that I learned in grade school and high school, I have used in this business at some time in my life. It's a challenge because they are four very demanding men and they have a very difficult job. And it's totally different than anything I've ever done. Being happy with yourself first enables you to take that joy to whatever you do, thereby making it easier and a happier experience for all the people involved in it.
It's like getting ready for surgery. Actually, we are as clean as doctors, aren't we, guys? Clean.
Okay, time to rock and roll.
The KISS audience is the most exciting audience I have ever seen.
It's a high. That's what it is. It's a high.
Peter Criss, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, and Paul Stanley. And I have 17,000 fans waiting for him at LA's Fabulous Forum for tonight's performance. Now, you talked about laying off before. Now, obviously, I guess you guys are in a financial position not to have to do this, not to have to do a grueling tour like this. Why?
Is that true, Mr. Klein? Do we have...
I think, to me, it's I love performing. It's in my...
I don't think we're doing this for the money, you know, Billy?
We don't have to do this for the money.
Well, that was doing it for more. It's more of a vocation than an occupation.
Plus, we own the hotel chain that we stay in. We have to check out how.
There's nothing like watching people smile and enjoy themselves.
It's almost a religious experience, and I don't want to get in trouble with all those people again, but when you step up on stage, there's a certain magic that happens.
There's an ultra-ness about the group.
I look at it like I had the gift, you know, I'm lucky enough to have it to make people happy, so
you've been so successful, what do you want to do in the future? You guys, I mean, it's like
bigger
movies?
and better.
I want to be a professional football player.
Good.
I want to be a butcher.
I've been working out.
I think that the future holds only bigger and better things. In fact, if anything is an indication of what we can do, the limitations are just our imagination. Anything that we pretty much come up with.
Well, it's more a matter of us continuing to go forward until it's not fun for us or fun for the audience. So it's really hard to say what you'll be doing a year or two down the line. Hopefully we'll be making music and putting on a bigger show. It's always a challenge to us to come back with something.
I think the sky's the limit, you know, Billy? It's like
water over the bridge.
But you'd like to do film?
Yeah, in fact, that's in the future.
The trouble with doing films is
that we can't act.
Yeah, we put that away out of a paper bag. I mean, we're musicians first, and it's important that we do what comes most naturally. We don't go out and we're not running for office, and at the moment we're not acting.
I think, though, we really don't know what the band can do. There's so many facets to the band that we can do. I think lots of different things that even we don't realize yet.
Right.
Comic books, just all kinds of stuff. Right now, though, we're paying attention to the music.
With all of those things, I mean, the marketing and all of the KISS comic books and the lunch boxes and all of the things that you do you worry ever about being overexposed?
No, you can. If there's a demand for something, then we should give it. You know.
Were the Beatles overexposed?
You can only, you do something.
Were they?
Who's that?
I said, were the Beatles overexposed?
You heard them, Beatles.
Okay.
That was pretty serious. See, I probably could act. I don't
know. I think if people want belt buckles, you give them belt buckles. You know, it's not fair to deny people.
I won't give my wallet.
Yeah, everything is only going to last so long, so why not give as much as you can while you can?
The reality of merchandising is if we don't put it out, someone else is going to put it out because there's a demand for the product. So, you know, why shouldn't we collect, you know, a percentage of the money if somebody else is going to do it and steal from
You have to make sure that it's good, too, because when somebody buys something that says KISS on it, ultimately we're responsible for it. It will appear whether we want it or not.
Do you plan any of this?
There was makeup. I mean, there was times where kids would put shoe polish on their face and stuff. And now we put out makeup, and it's the same thing we use.
It's called the shoe polish lawsuits.
You guys, I
swear. A lot of lawsuits about it.
It's true, though. No, it's safer for them. And I mean, they're not, you know, because a kid could really screw his face up.
The pinball machine is the best pinball machine that's out there.
Who makes that, by the way?
Bally.
Wally could go listen to it.
Now, I saw a lot of kids in the audience in makeup, in your makeup.
Right.
It must be a bizarre sight to look out and see yourself applauding.
I don't look. It's been going on. It's been going on for years, and I think it gets us off to this day. The first time it happened, we couldn't figure out what it was all about.
The first couple of times it happened, we would be behind the curtain going, "There's somebody out there dressed like you," and you'd peek out through the curtains, and you couldn't quite understand it, but it's just great. We had ducktails, and we had greasy haircuts, or we had Beatle haircuts. And the audience now is Kiss makeup.
The greatest trip we did is one night. We had it last night, and I had one of the guys dress up like me, and I snuck off the drums and put him up there, and he dressed
up like Gene.
Just like Gene. So at the end of the show, when the drums were going up, it was Gene sitting behind the drums, and Gene turned around and looked at Gene.
There was a pause there for a second where you looked
and we didn't tell him.
The drum, for those of you that don't know, the drum platform, along with Peter, levitates 25 feet into the air.
He flipped out.
And we have to turn around the last split second to get the cue for Peter to end the song. And just that one split second, I saw my face in back of the drums. And, you kind of...
All the way home, he was excellent manager. Am I okay? I mean,
Let's talk a little bit about the theatrics on stage, because they are incredible. You actually rise 25 feet.
Magic.
Yeah, and the drums go around.
And you fly.
Can you tell us a little bit, how did you get into KISS?
Well, Paul Stanley came to my museum back in 1988, and I opened it officially then. And since then I've been a KISS fan, KISS dealer, KISS collector. Got the KISS museum. I buy and sell through the mail normally. I'm privileged to come here and set up my stuff and meet all these crazy fans.
So you're a real KISS fan yourself?
Oh, I think so. I think they've won me over.
Now, is this like a full-time job to you?
Well, it's part of my... I do records, collectible records, and I also buy and sell Beatles things, but KISS has sort of become more active even than the Beatles.
Now, there's some amazing stuff here that you were just showing me. This KISS bubble gum, it's like 13 years old or something.
Don't eat the gum, you'll lose your filling.
Now, first of all, how do you know about all these things, and how do you get hold of them?
Well, I've been buying things since about 1983, so I've acquired a lot of collections, probably about 20 collections.
So is it expensive to buy these things?
Well, it was cheap at one time, but they're getting more expensive now.
Okay. So maybe you could just point out a few things for us that are of a particular interest. There's the KISS jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's rare. Complete as well.
How much would that cost?
About £25. I think the original price is about 98 cents. This is a little jacket for a little KISS fan. Actually, this was a medium back then. Very rare item. I paid $125 for one for my own self now. And I'm trying to trade this for something else that I don't have.
Right, okay. You've got lots of like, what's this? This is the signed...
Autographed picture discs, KISS wallet, backstage passes. You see everything around here. There's dolls below here.
Tell us a little bit about these dolls.
We still need a home for some of these dolls, folks.
This one is £75. Where did that come from?
Well, they're made in America. Actually, they're probably made in Hong Kong, but they're authorized through the Miko Corporation. So these were sold for about... They weren't cheap at the time. I think they were $20 back then in '78. So they weren't cheap.
Okay. Have you ever met KISS yourself?
Oh yeah, I've met Eric and I've met Paul. And lots of people like the wives and Ace as well.
Okay. So what is the most expensive item on this stand?
Probably the gold records over there.
Okay, there's we've got a gold record there. What's that for? Okay. Oh, that's for Animalize, right? Okay. How did you get hold of that?
Well, I think Paul saw one of those in my museum. He wondered where he got it, and I think I got it from one of his friends or hairdressers.
You must have a few stories to tell, indeed. And right now, I'm joined by the band, and welcome to all of you.
All right.
And
all right. It's nice to see you, mate. Yeah, it's all right. It's quite nice. Here I am with my fingers to the bell all day. Yeah, it's
and a special welcome to new drummer Eric Singer. There he is. Now, I should point out we're actually on location at a video shoot, and we will be back to the KISS convention a little later on. And we've got plenty of time to talk. We're going to talk about the tour and, of course, Revenge. But as the album is dedicated to Eric Carr, I'd like to start off talking a little bit about Eric. Did you feel torn between kind of grieving in public and sharing sort of your grief with the kind of fans and the press around the world?
I don't know. I think, how you grieve and your pain is your business. And I don't think that you become more genuine or you justify anything by, by mourning in public. Certainly it was our nightmare. And if it affected the fans, which it did because Eric was such a fabulous person, you can imagine what it did to us. It was a nightmare, and I think that we're doing the best thing we can for Eric, other than remembering him and dedicating an album to him and having a song which he wrote and features a drum solo. Other than that, we're doing Kiss Proud, which does Eric proud. I think he'd be thrilled with the way this album has turned out. It's we couldn't have done this album without the 11 years that he put into it.
Okay. The drill in the background there. Did Eric's death somehow cause you to reappraise what Kiss was all about?
I think that would be doing Eric Carr's death a disservice.
It obviously had an effect on you personally and emotionally.
He was as close as you can get to having a brother in the band, but to say that because of Eric Carr's death, the band somehow had a different point of view, I don't think that's fair. I think the band all of a sudden went into overdrive when we were on the last Hot in the Shade tour in America, and all of a sudden newfound energy, but Eric Carr's death was tragic, and we've been through this a lot, so if we sound a little sort of iffy talking about it, it's because we're drained by it.
Absolutely, I can understand that. And you mentioned just now about the Eric Carr solo that's on the album. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? How did you find that? That's Bruce.
That was cool. Bob Ezrin, our producer on this record, he was back in Toronto going through the vaults. Apparently, he worked on The Elder, which was the first record Eric Carr was involved in. Found a track that never quite made it, no lyrics or vocals were ever put on it. And it had guitars on it already, but we wanted to update it, so I got a chance to put some solos on it. And the thing that was kind of eerie about it was you hear Eric count it off, so it's like he was a part of the record there, even though it was like a ghost, I just know personally for myself, it makes me hungry to want to play guitar. Every day I'm alive, and this band is vital, and doing what we love to do, play rock and roll. I'm going to enjoy it and make it valuable. So that's what's come out of it for me personally, out of that tragedy.
Now, Eric's last contribution, I think as you mentioned, was God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too. Will that always be a particularly special song to Kiss?
I think it's a very special song for us because it was a massive hit in the UK. Eric Carr didn't get a chance to really contribute musically to that. That was Eric Singer's first time in the studio with us. Eric flew in like a trooper maybe 2 weeks after open heart surgery to remove a tumor. And although, he was in no shape, he wanted very much to sing and sang the middle section with us. And that's the kind of guy he was.
Okay. And what's your fondest memory of Eric?
11 years of a great guy who was very funny and gave absolutely everything to his fans and felt that we couldn't do enough and he couldn't do enough, and was also a very funny and positive guy. What else can you say?
Okay.
This is all getting a little bit too
morbid,
sort of morbid.
Absolutely. Well,
because the truth is that when we think about Eric, it's an up feeling. The fact that Eric was with us for 11 years.
We reminisce about Eric.
Yeah, we joke around about it. It's not like, God or the laws of nature, whatever, did what they had to do, or whatever happened, and it's in the past. For us, they're happy memories. So when we talk about it, we joke around about it.
Once in a while you go, I can't believe he's dead, but at the same time, most of the talk is, wow, remember when he did this, or remember how he used to do this? It's good stuff. So, to turn this into like this somber kind of affair is a real bummer. As far as I think we're concerned.
Well,
he was a great guy and wouldn't want us to be standing around here, sobbing or anything. It's unlike him and unlike us.
He'd want us to know the humor that he brought us. He was always a prankster, very funny.
How did you go about finding a replacement for Eric?
He was in the mailbox.
I'm small enough and I fit. Paul has this really big mailbox in front of his house.
I opened up the mailbox and he went, hey.
I went, hi.
We knew Eric for a long time. Actually, I did a small solo club tour in, I think, what was it, 89?
Yes.
And I asked around, I said, who's like the best drummer around, who's available? And Eric's name kept coming up, and he played with Gary Moore, and he played with Sabbath at one point. One of the Sabbaths, whichever Sabbath it was, and he's kind of like the hired gun that everybody likes to play with. And when I played with him on tour, he was fabulous. So he kind of became like a member of the inner circle of Scum, which is what our friends are. And then when things started to get very, very tenuous, and Eric Carr got ill, we called Eric up and said, "Are you available to come in and help us out?" And obviously he came in as a temporary and played his bollocks off, played his ass off, and did a great job on the album, and only did it, as a temporary, but played as though, it meant everything. And obviously when Eric Carr passed away, and when Eric Carr did pass away, he was a full member of the band. We spoke to Eric about joining, and it made the most sense.
How did you think Eric's style differs to Eric Carr's?
I think we should probably stop talking for a second. And how would you describe your style a little bit?
Well, I've got a question for Eric in a minute, actually.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Well, here we are.
Do it my way.
Do it my way. Women rule, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
We're all beat.
And men bow.
And we do bow. Our knees buckle, don't they? Eric, saying your style can be best described as kick, big snare. For every girl that wants to lose a couple of pounds, just set Eric up in your living room and he'll shake it right off you.
Because he's a stud.
Because he is a studly.
No, he's
Junior pimp.
Yeah, junior pimp.
Now, Eric, what do you think you brought to the KISS equation?
Well,
E equals MC squared.
I buy a lot of cookies for Gene, and I contribute very much to his dessert. Now, I don't know. I think one thing is I felt that I had a lot of experience, which was probably at this time kind of crucial to them. But more importantly, they knew me, and I know it's the most important thing in a band is chemistry. To have and for people to feel at ease. And I think I probably brought that to the situation, some stability at a very difficult time. And it was very awkward for me coming in at that kind of situation. But I'm trying to be positive, make the most of it. And so far everything's been going like fantastic.
Incredibly.
Yeah.
You know what he brings though? He's into guitars. That's why he's my pal.
It's got nice hair as well.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a good color.
He's not just a drummer. He loves guitars. So he's my pal, like I said.
Was it important for you that the fans realised that Revenge was a band effort?
Very much so. I mean, sometimes in the past there's been times where one person did a lion's share of the work, or two people did the work, or three people, and somehow at other times the band gets sold short because of it, because people may say, oh, well, the band it's not really a band, or this one didn't do anything, or this one's writing corny songs, or whatever the case may be. But very much what makes Revenge such a great album, and the reason it's doing so phenomenally well, is because there's four people who did a tremendous job. I mean, from the time we started writing songs, we must have done about 50 songs, thrown most of them out, rewrote them, went into rehearsal, everybody came up with their parts, then scrapped them. It was a process that took quite a while, and it's something that could only be this good because four people did it. It's absolutely a band album. It's KISS.
I mean, it's ironic, if I can interject, even though at the time when I was recording with them, I was only, filling in to help out, but I felt a real part of it. Even if all I would have done was just played on the record, I would have still felt like a big part of me was there, because there was a lot of commitment and energy put in by everybody. I mean, not even just the band, but even all the engineers that worked on the record and the producer, everybody really, put a lot of heart and soul into it, and I think it shows.
Absolutely, and also really carrying on from that, you've recently done a club tour in the States, which I know you did for the fans, and perhaps on this album you seem to maybe have the attitude that you're doing it far more for yourselves and without any sort of outside pressures and people saying you've got to write a hit single or...
It's a lot more, people think about it a lot more than we did. We were pretty selfish, actually. We just didn't want to wait until August to start touring, and the record company started thinking about doing these playbacks to play back the record to radio stations and interviewers and so on. And we just said, hell with that. We don't want to sit around with some stiff-necked geek sitting in front of us who could care less about the band. You know who you are. we care much more about our fans, so we decided to take the music to our fans, and the club shows were much more like playing the new stuff and some of the older stuff to our fans, to our friends. I mean, this is family for us. And the club tour was just a chance for us to do a couple of things, to have Eric play some of the new stuff, some of the old stuff, and to play the new album to our fans, and just to gear up. And the real tour isn't still going to start. It kicks off in America July the 31st.
August 31st is what he just said.
August 31st. That's right. Flash.
The Kiss tour in the States has been delayed 1 month, but that's okay because it gives us a little more chance to make sure that the stage is everything it should be. Because everybody over here is getting knocked out by the show that we have here, and when in truth the new show makes this look like an intimate evening with Kiss. So we're real excited, and obviously we're doing this for ourselves and our fans. But when we please ourselves, we please our fans. And maybe for a while we didn't have the pedal down quite all the way, but we got it floored now, and if you're in the way, you get run over.
How do you think Revenge updates Kiss for the 90s?
I think it basically sets down the rules. It's almost our manifesto. No more paying attention to radio stations, no more paying attention to radio stations, no more paying attention to radio stations. We could really give two shits. And the most important thing is we figured out that we've got to stay true to ourselves. So in a lot of ways, this is like a first album all over again.
And it's perhaps the heaviest Kiss record for 10 years.
Absolutely. It's everybody did their best to make sure that this could, how would you say, curdle milk, you know, make cottage cheese of the air. It's about as heavy as it gets, you know. And plus it's good stuff, you know. I mean, there's no trick to making a heavy album. I mean, anybody can do that. Making a good album is a whole nother thing. I mean, sometimes you hear bands saying, oh, this is our heaviest, we've gone back to doing what we do, and the music still sucks. You know, there's good tunes, really great tunes, great playing. That's what makes Revenge really great. Not that it's heavy. I mean, that word's boring, you know.
It just seems to me that Kiss have been at the forefront of musical styles for many years. I mean, how do you do it? Have you got a crystal ball or something?
I think when we're at our best, we're following our intuition. You know, we do what we like to do. You can always try to jump on the bandwagon, but that means you're following somebody. You're not leading a parade. You wind up trying to see where someone else is going. So, I mean, when we do that, I mean, we jump off real quick if we suddenly go, wait a minute, this is not true. This isn't who we are. So, I mean, anything good comes around again, and we can survive. If a bad year for us is selling 1 million albums, we'll take the bad years too.
I think there's another thing you've got to do to yourself every once in a while, and that's really be brutal with yourself. You've got to reassess who you are, what you want to do, what you're in this for, and some of us more than others. And you've got to do some soul searching and figure out if you really want to do this. And if you want to do it, you should do it all the way.
100%.
100%.
Perhaps I could bring Bruce in here. Could you tell us a little bit about how Bob Ezrin brought out the best in Kiss for Revenge?
Oh, well, he tortured me. That was one way. He made me feel like I didn't know how to tune a guitar, no less be able to play it. But that was the process to go through. It was like, we don't want you to think about what you're going to play. We want you to feel it, you know, and from the lower extremities of your body. So it was really an opportunity for me to,
balls.
Yeah, exactly. People were saying, hey, Bruce, you changed your style. I don't know, I think just the best of my style came out, you know, and the fact that it's a great role. It's like if I was an actor, it's the role of a lifetime for me, and a lot of it has to do with the focus of the band and Bob Ezrin torturing me. It's really
and he was one of the people that contributed some songwriting as well.
Oh,
Could you tell us a little bit about some of the songwriting collaborations?
There weren't that many songwriting collaborations. We tried not to get involved this time with Guns for Hire. You know, there are songwriters out there that are really good, but I mean, at this point, if you can't write your own song or do it with some, you know, mates and do it with the people who count, then maybe it's time to pack it in. So we kept it to a very small circle of people. Ezrin was one of them, a couple of outside people. Vinnie Vincent from Days Gone By was involved, and now he's gone back to Days Gone By. But, you know, we did whatever we had to make the greatest album we could. We weren't concerned with, you know, who was involved as much as, is it going to make a great, true Kiss album? And, you know, that's basically what we did. I think we stayed real close to the bone, so to speak. The people who were involved are friends, except one.
A lot of people have written in and asked me to ask you what happened to the song that I think it was Paul co-wrote with Dave the Snake from Skid Row.
It's in the how should we put it? It's in the vaults, and it'll come out. It's just that we were in an enviable position because here we were with an album that we think is so good, it didn't need another track. Another track wouldn't have added anything to it. Maybe in some ways it would have just made it too big. So when it came time to mix, we listened and said, let's put this one on the shelf for now, and we will get back to it. And you'll hear it. It's a great tune.
Cool. Okay.
You know your homework, though. That's for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we're going to talk a little bit now about the lyrics on Revenge. Now, they deal in the main with sex. And
well,
I was just wondering,
partially.
Well, we'll talk about the other ones in a moment, but I just wondered, have you found new ways of dealing with a tried and tested subject?
Well, if you're creative, you can find my gravity.
That's a good answer. There's also a very romantic ballad on the album, Every Time I Look at You, which was written by Paul and Bob Ezrin. Now that seems to me as showing a very romantic approach. Was that like a more personal song for you?
Well, when you get them with the ballad, then you get them in bed. Give them that, and they go, oh, and then you get the other things going. It's nice to be able to write a ballad as long as the ballad isn't one of those mushy, wimpy, funeral dirge-like power pop ballads that some bands do. Some bands, who will remain nameless, take these like up-tempo songs about screwing in the back of the car, and they slow it down to half-tempo and then sing about a girl who just left them. And it's sappy stuff. I mean, Every Time I Look at You is a song that was written on an acoustic guitar. It's much closer, I think, to something like Wild Horses, like a Stones kind of thing, than it is to some of that pap that you hear passed off as ballads. I mean, anything can be a ballad now. I'd rather hear ballads like As Tears Go By, the Stones kind of stuff, or Zeppelin ballads. That's a little cooler than that mush that you hear sometimes.
Now, Gene, there's a couple of songs on the album that I felt had a kind of religious imagery, Unholy and Thou Shalt Not.
Oh boy.
They're obviously from two very different perspectives. What was your inspiration for those songs?
Archbishop Simmons.
Archbunker Simmons.
Every couple of years, there's got to be a church enemies list. Every couple of years they put me on top. When we first started touring, I was just some kid out of New York City, was glad to be on stage wearing makeup and doing crazy things. And all of a sudden we played Canada, and there's a newspaper that came out that said, Gene Simmons is the devil. Going, oh great, just what I need. And so then all of a sudden in the South of America, people started walking around with big burning crosses and pointing to me. And I'd say,
it only
it's
was
not
Gene.
me.
It wasn't Kiss. It had nothing to do with the whole
nothing
band.
to do. No.
It wasn't. They weren't doing this about Kiss. It was all.
It was all.
Archbishop Simmons.
So I'm here to tell you that some of these songs are not necessarily religious. They're just trying to point out some points. Unholy makes the point that guys with horns on their heads and devils and all that stuff, I don't believe in that crap. The truth is that the things that we do to each other in the name of love,
in the name of love,
are far worse than any devil, than any hell that anybody could create. Absolutely. There's a line in the song that says, you send your children to war to serve bastards and whores. There's no worse hell than that. So unholy is really just a part of all of us. And Thou Shalt Not, this other song you're talking about, is just basically
Island of Lost Souls.
Island of Lost Souls. Thank you. Paul Stanley, Charles Lawton.
Thou shalt
not.
Flesh.
Flesh.
Thou shalt not eat flesh, for are we not men? Are we not men?
You see, if you rent that movie, those are the lines from the movie.
What is the law?
Charles Lawton.
The law is we shall not eat flesh. We shall not drink blood. For are we not men?
Are we not men? So anyway, Thou Shalt Not, it's explained very simply by a man with a collar walks over and says, kindly reconsider the sins of your past. I said, mister, you can kindly kiss my ass. It's a nice way of saying, leave me alone and let me live my life the way I want to.
Cool, okay. And we're going to come right up to date now with the UK tour. How's that been going for you? How does it feel to be
Great,
back?
fab,
Been magic. It's been great. You know, I think there was a period of time where we were caught in this dilemma. You can't bring a show, but come anyway. You know, we just want to see you. And that's okay until you get here. And then all of a sudden, you know, rightfully so, people go, well, it's okay, but where's the show? So I think we reached a point where we realized if we can't come over here and do what people expect from us, we shouldn't come over anymore. And we've been here a few times where I think people were disappointed, and rightfully so. But we were, you know, we didn't know whether we should come over, not come over. I think this show kind of shows what we're doing at this point, and it's all uphill from here. I mean, it only gets better, and we're real proud of what we're doing, and I think the fans are too.
You know, for us, it's worth saying this. We're not trying to kiss your butt or anything, but the truth is, when we were growing up, England was our inspiration. There are a lot of bands that keep talking about how Kiss changed their life. That's all well and good.
This is
thank you. But
this is the motherland for us. This is where it all started.
When we grew up, from the Beatles on.
I mean, you may talk about, I mean, God bless Muddy Waters and Willie Dixon and you know, Lightning Hopkins and everybody, but I'll tell you the truth, for us, it didn't start there. First we got into Zeppelin and Jeff Beck, Humble Pie. That's the stuff we're still listening to. And then we found our way back from there and then forward. But I mean, in America too, when we first came out, people thought of us as, they thought we were from England, you know, and we were proud of it because we never wanted to be like the Jefferson Airplane or those, you know,
slobs.
Those slobs. I mean, that's not what we're about.
And for the European viewers, could you tell us a little bit about the staging and production that you're using on this tour?
People should, this is probably a little vague for some people. The stage that the British fans saw here in England was the last American tour, the 40-foot high Sphinx that we came out of the mouth. Leon, we call him, Leon Sphinx. The eyes shoot out lasers and bombs and stuff. It's just a massive show. But there's a brand new show being built in America right now, which we're going to start touring with August 31st. And that's going to be a worldwide tour, and we're coming back. We're going to bring that sucker right here.
Yeah, we're doing all of Europe with that one.
That's what I wanted to know.
And I mean, we were so fired up after doing this, you know, bunch of dates here that we said, in 8 months we should have some time after doing America and doing the Orient, and we said, let's come back again, you know, and let's make up for some lost time. And this is just the beginning. What we come back with is going to blow everybody away.
Okay, well there you go. You heard it on Headbangers Ball. Kiss are coming back to Europe and the whole continent, and we will run the tour dates as soon as they're available, so watch out for those. Very quickly, what sort of set are you playing on this tour? Is it, are you bringing out some really old stuff?
Yeah.
You mean the music on this tour?
Yeah.
Yes, the music.
Yeah.
Parasite, 100,000 Years.
Firehouse.
Some stuff, Firehouse. Stuff we haven't played in 15 years.
We're doing about 23 songs, and when we do the next tour, we're hoping to do about 30 songs.
Wow.
So, you know, some bands get into playing medleys and things like that once you have, you know, the songs to choose from. We're just going to play everything. I mean, there's probably going to be an acoustic, you know, some acoustic songs. There's going to be, I mean, it's going to be a real night to remember.
Right.